I'm Dusty Nix, editorial page editor of the Ledger-Enquirer. My question has to do with Parks and Recreation specifically, but with city oversight in general. And the question goes this way. Parks and Recreation looks right now like a department that has operated without adequate oversight literally for years. And it's not the only example. The garbage fee, the landfill fee thing is another example. There are probably others that I have forgotten about. How likely do you think it is that there are other problems of this kind in the city right now, if not necessarily of that degree? And what will you as mayor do to assess that and to deal with it when you find it? And Mr. Baker, I think we start with you this time.
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, the mayor already has department head meetings. So to call it something else, whether it's cabinet meetings or whatnot, we will continue this when I become mayor. So I believe this is very important because we have to make sure that we're assessing and holding each department head and department accountable. The other thing I like to do is to make sure that everyone understands their expectations, they understands their duties and responsibilities as it is outlined in the charter. And I believe we need to get back to defending and abiding by the charter. The next thing is audits are perfect. You know, audits actually they capture where the ineffectiveness is, where the inefficiencies are, and they also make sure that there are a clear duplication of services if any employee is idle on the job or if the efforts are being duplicated. So I am for the audits, and I believe that it does not need to wait until a year, but you also need to have it on a smaller level, maybe on a monthly basis, so that each department can be accountable. The other thing is a line item budget. Those things are very important so you can know exactly where each dollar is being spent. So these are some of the things that I believe that needs to be put in place, some of the things that are successful that needs to be carried on. And as mayor, I will ensure that we do this. Now, the other question was, I believe, what's the likelihood of this happening in another department, or you know, how prevalent is this case? I'm going to be honest. What we will do is we will make sure that we go through every department and we put forth the right systems in place to be able to highlight any inefficiencies and duplications of services. And whatever we find, then we will make sure that we make the corrections then. There has been a program in talking with the Columbus Chambers, the Greater Columbus Chamber of Commerce, is that the City Smart and City Stat, in which I believe the City of Mobile has adopted, City of Baltimore has adopted, and what it does is it allows you to, first of all, make sure ensure that the services of the city are given in a proper time to the citizens. That there is not a month, you know, out from when a citizen calls and reports a pothole or anything else, but you know that is done really within about a 3 to 5 day period. This is very important because as the citizens are paying taxes, they expect to receive the services in a very timely manner, and quality of services need to be improved as well. So, you know, incorporating systems like this in the process as we go about handling the city government is very important, and you can count on it being done with Zeph Baker as your mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Anthony?
I think there are 5 different ways in which to accomplish this objective. One is that we do it with employees, so that the employee evaluation and continuous improvement teams help bring to the surface concerns that people have. We need to give an opportunity for employees who have a concern about what's going on in any of their departments, in every department. Give them an opportunity to be able to express this, so we have 180-degree feedbacks as well as 360-degree stakeholder analysis. That is one way, continuous improvement. The second way is through the evaluation process. We evaluate individuals, we evaluate supervisors, we evaluate departments, we evaluate divisions within the organization. Now, Carmen Caveza, General Caveza, when he was city manager, began to implement some of these, and we have actually seen one of the places where we have a problem, the employees define the problem for us. So that was very helpful to us. I think the third thing is that we use the internal audit process. We've done about 27 of them, I think, at this point. We raised questions in 2 of them. That gives us an internal auditor And I believe we would probably have support to add more of those in a greater, larger team from our, in the next budget. The fourth is to use external auditors for some of the places where we need to have reviews of what are going on so that people know that outside eyes are looking at what we do. And then I think the final thing that will help us is to use the stakeholders, the people that are developing, working with those departments to be able to say, look, this is the kind of problems we see. These are the kind of concerns that we have. Let the people who are actually engaging our various departments to give us some feedback. Are there problems in other departments? I would hope not, but I think we're in the process of making sure that all of those departments are being audited as quickly as we can. If we have more funding, more staff, we will be able to do that in a more timely way, but we're going to at least do that on an annual basis through the evaluation process. The other thing I would like to suggest is that we continually ask the question of people, if you have something that you're concerned about and are uncomfortable sharing it, do we have a 1-800 number? Do we have a place where people can give their ideas, give their concerns, and we address those in a timely and effective manner?
Thank you. Ms. Tomlinson.
Yes. Well, to answer your question directly, Dusty Doe, I think that it's anything like Parks and Rec is going on in another department. I want to be careful to compare because, of course, that's been quite a controversial situation, and it's fact-specific. I can give you two examples, though, of inefficiencies and where oversight would have been very, very helpful for the taxpayers and for our city workers. One is in road projects. I've had a lot of personal experience with that, and I'm talking about tens of millions of dollars that have been, well, misallocated to projects that were no longer needed. Put on the Transportation Improvement Plan in decades past, they finally rise to the top, and we are going to, by goodness and by golly, spend $52 million on that road project, even though the growth patterns no longer warrant it. That, with elected oversight from the executive, the mayor, those types of decisions could free up tens of millions of dollars to go to other projects that are now needed, given our growth patterns. Another example would be the tax assessor's office. I know certainly we have hardworking and city employees, but I cannot tell you the number of developers and commercial landholders that come to me during this process and before, where they say they have huge multi-million-dollar commercial properties that have not been billed taxes in years, and they actually spend hundreds of dollars a year sending certified letters to the city saying, send us a tax bill, we're not going to pay the fees and expenses and interest on these things because we haven't gotten a tax bill in years. Those are indicators that there's not efficiencies and oversights. So what would I do about it? I think we have not been benefited in this community by this urban myth, if you will, that we have a weak mayor form of government. A weak mayor form of government means your mayor is part-time. That's just simply not true in the city of Columbus. We are aided by a city manager. That is an additional asset. That doesn't abdicate the mayor of responsibility. The mayor is elected by the people. The buck stops with the mayor as far as the executive branch, and the mayor oversees the administrative arm of our government and works with the legislature. And so to have a strong mayor, yes, you'll have oversight with mayoral cabinet meetings, which are different than the city manager's staff meetings, which are currently going on and the mayor is invited to, completely different. Efficiency audits that the buck ultimately stops with the mayor, and the mayor has to report to the city council on that. It's a much more engaged mayor system, and I think that helps the city manager in doing his role, which is administering the day-to-day government and the public policy of the elected officials.
Thank you. Mr. Olson.
I've been a strong advocate time and time again on the line item expenditure audits. It's fell on deaf ears time and time again with the city council. Now, according to the city charter, it says on an annual basis it's supposed to audit agencies, departments, commissions, boards on an annual basis. That does not happen, not in all agencies and all boards. I'm going to make sure that it happens. Like in the city charter, it says it's a mayor/city council/city manager. City manager works for the mayor. And as your next mayor, I will ensure that the city manager will give PowerPoint presentations informing citizens on all the boards and commissions and agencies. Now, in this particular department of the Parks and Recreation, they have a finance officer there. And that finance officer should have caught that. a long time ago. She reports that information to Pam Hodge, who is the overall finance director. So this is something that would not have happened on my watch, and I will ensure that it won't happen in the future. Now, do you think something like this could happen in the future? Right now, it's presently happening. You've got, well, in the past, you had the landfill debacle. And as a citizen activist, I went in front of this and to the citizens and said, look, it's not $250,000, what the city manager said at the time. It's a more of a problem than that. I said it's anywhere between 850 to 900,000. And lo and behold, right after the November election with Bob Porterchef and Jim Weatherington, out came the number 856,000. Then they had to write off 1.2 million. So collectively, the citizens took a bath on $2.1 million. Now, what's happening to that department now? Most of those commercial people are dumping their stuff over in Reeves over in Phoenix City. And still we have about $60,000 that's uncollected on the books in Columbus. So I'm going to work on that. I'm also going to work on the fact that you have the Medical Center Authority that has never been audited. And why? It's a budget of $12.5 million. You got the Economic Development Authority, $1 million. That's $250,000 property tax. Same way with Uptown Columbus Inc. Gets $100,000 each and every year. And they're the people who are the catalysts that want to push the whitewater rafting. Now, I would think, as an environmentalist, you want to first clean up the Chattahoochee River, to direct that money in doing that. And at one time, we had a lawsuit towards Atlanta, and they not only dump sewage, but they also dump toxic waste. That affects us here. You cannot eradicate those microbes through using any other I went on a mind bend right there. But anyway, I will make sure that that doesn't happen. Also on Spring Harbor, $6.3 million. Property taxes. That should not be sheltered up underneath a 501c3. Thank you.